You think you're free, but you are living in a modern plantation. The system doesn't need chains anymore when it can just use a plastic card. Think about it. You wake up early, sit in traffic you hate, to get to a job that drains your soul, all to buy things you don't need, with money you don't have, just to impress people you don't even like. This is the consumer debt trap, a calculated web of financial slavery, designed to keep you running on a hamster wheel until the day you die. But here's the problem. You were told that debt is normal. Just put it on a credit card. They say, finance it with low monthly payments. It sounds so innocent. This is where most people fail. They look at the monthly payment instead of the total cost. They see $100 a month and think, I can afford that, completely ignoring the $1,000 interest trap lurking beneath the surface. The banks aren't your friends. They are predatory entities masquerading as financial saviors. They want you trapped. They want you hooked on the dopamine hit of swiping that card, because every swipe transfers your future freedom straight into their corporate pockets. It is a slow, silent drain on your life force. But it gets worse. This system doesn't just take your money. It takes your choices. The moment you sign that financing agreement, you surrender your ability to say no to a bad boss, to take a risk on a new business, or to simply walk away. You are locked in. Now this changes everything. Look at your phone. Look at how easy they made it. One click, one swipe, and that package arrives at your door tomorrow. The system has weaponized psychology against your bank account. Every time you buy something on credit, your brain releases a massive hit of dopamine. You feel wealthy, you feel successful, you feel powerful. But it's an illusion. It is a manufactured high, designed by tech algorithms and retail giants to bypass your rational mind. This is where most people fail. They mistake the ability to buy with the ability to afford. Just because your credit limit allows a purchase doesn't mean your bank account approves it. But here's the problem. That dopamine high lasts for exactly 5 minutes, while the high-interest debt lasts for years. You are trading permanent financial freedom for temporary material satisfaction. The system feeds on your impatience. It tells you that you deserve it now, that waiting is for losers. So you finance the vacation, you lease the luxury car, and you buy the designer clothes on a buy now, pay later plan. Now, this changes everything because you aren't actually buying products. You are buying status symbols to hide your financial insecurity. You're working 40 hours a week just to maintain the appearance of being rich, while actually slipping closer to bankruptcy. It's a beautifully wrapped trap. And you walked right into it because you wanted to look good for people who don't care about you. But it gets worse. Let's look at the math, because numbers don't lie, even when the banks do. When you carry a balance on a typical credit card, you aren't just paying back what you borrowed. You are fighting against the most powerful force in finance, compound interest. But here's the problem. While compound interest can make you rich when you invest, it ensures your destruction when you owe. The system has rigged the game so that your minimum payment barely covers the interest charges. This is where most people fail. They pay the minimum fee every month, thinking they are making progress, while their actual principal balance remains completely untouched. You are running on a treadmill that is slowly moving backward. Imagine buying a $1,000 television, but by the time you finally pay it off through minimum payments, you've actually handed the bank $3,000. You paid for 3 TVs but only got 1. Now, this changes everything, because you realize that your hard-earned labor is being heavily discounted by the system. You are working for pennies on the dollar while the banking executives use your interest payments to fund their yachts and luxury penthouses. It is a massive legal wealth transfer from the middle class straight to the financial elite. The system relies on your mathematical ignorance to stay profitable. They don't want you to calculate the true cost of your lifestyle. But it gets worse. As inflation rises and your cost of living increases, that interest trap tightens its grip, suffocating your remaining cash flow. Debt isn't just a financial tool. It is a psychological weapon of absolute control. The system doesn't just want your money, it wants your compliance. When you are drowning in monthly payments, you become a deeply fearful, highly predictable creature. But here's the problem. A fearful worker is the most profitable asset a corporation can own. This is where most people fail. They assume their career choices are entirely their own, but their debt is actually calling the shots. You can't quit that toxic job. You can't voice your real opinion to your manager. And you certainly can't take a 6-month sabbatical to figure out your life. Because you are exactly 3 missed payments away from total financial ruin. You are trapped in a modern corporate feudalism. The banks and your employers are in a silent partnership, keeping you just desperate enough to keep showing up, but never prosperous enough to truly break free. Now, this changes everything. When you realize that debt is a tool used to strip away your personal sovereignty, you stop viewing it as a mere lifestyle convenience. It is a leash around your neck, and the system holds the other end. They want you stressed. They want you living paycheck to paycheck because an anxious consumer is easily manipulated by the next quick-fix dopamine hit. It is a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle of survival mode. But it gets worse. If you stay on this path, you don't just sacrifice your youth. You trade away your legacy. You ensure that the next generation starts the game at zero, or worse, inherits the same broken mindset. But this is exactly where the power shift happens. The system is incredibly fragile because it entirely relies on your cooperation. The moment you decide to stop playing their game, the invisible walls of the cage begin to crumble. Now, this changes everything. Breaking free requires a total identity shift. You must stop acting like a consumer and start operating like an owner. This is where most people fail. They try to fight debt with more math, instead of fighting it with raw discipline. You need to aggressively cut the cord, aggressively stack cash, slash your lifestyle expenses to the absolute bone, and systematically destroy every single debt. Balance from smallest to largest with absolute, relentless fury. When you owe nothing to anyone, your entire reality changes. Your income suddenly belongs entirely to you. You gain the ultimate luxury in the modern world. Options. You can invest, you can take massive risks, and you can build true generational wealth that no bank can ever touch. The hamster wheel stops only when you decide to step off. The matrix only has power over you if you keep buying into the illusion. The choice is yours. Choose freedom.